Good morning again. I'd like, before I start, to acknowledge a few individuals here in the audience that truly make it happen in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and I would be remiss if I didn't. I'd like to start with Mr. Nathan Simmons, who is the gentleman that has to approve all my leave when I'm out of the territory. Thank you, Nathan. Monique Sibley Hodge, who really is at the helm of the Department of Tourism here in St. Thomas, and certainly is a great support for our department. Monique, thank you. Mr. Carlton Dow, the individual that runs our Port Authority and that keeps us at the top of our game in terms of flights into our territory. Mr. Dow, thank you for being with us. And last but certainly not least, our private sector partner, Ms. Lisa Hamilton, thank you for being with us. For the local press, I'm going to be doing something that you rarely see me do, which is actually read a statement, because it's data laden today, and so I want to make sure that we capture everything. Good morning. The state of the Caribbean tourism industry is solid, with positive signs that a recovery is in process. We see progress in the record number of overall arrivals in 2013. Progress is also manifested in the rapid rise in number of visitors from South America who are coming to the Caribbean in record numbers. You can tell the industry is improving when a record number of Caribbean residents traveled within the region for leisure despite the high cost of regional transportation. One of the strongest indicators of progress is the rise in the estimated visitor spend, with expenditure growing faster than visitor arrivals for the first time in 3 years. Fueled by the accommodation sector, visitors to the region spent more than $28 billion in 2013, an increase of 2.3% when compared to 2012. The hotel sector performed even better, recording a rise of more than 7.5% in room revenues. During this period, all the performance indicators remained positive. According to Smith Travel Research, average room rates were up nearly $10 to $186. The average revenue per available room also grew by about $10 to $125, and occupancy levels were at 67%, directly in line with pre-crisis levels. In fact, there wasn't a single month in 2013 that any of these indicators fell below 2012 levels. However, these positive signs are tempered somewhat by the fact that the overall growth rate slowed last year in comparison to 2012. Mixed performance among the destinations resulted in a 1.8% rise in tourist arrivals, a lot slower than the 4.9% rise in 2012. Still, the Caribbean welcomed more than 25 million stayover visitors last year, up from 24.6 million in 2012. Of note is the record number of arrivals in March, when nearly 3 million tourists visited the Caribbean. That's 5.5% higher than the previous record of nearly 2.75 million in 2008, and is 6.6% above the 2.6 million who came in March 2012. The Caribbean also recorded growth in stopover arrivals during each month of the summer season, with the exception of July and September, which were flat. For statistic purposes, the summer season runs from May to mid-December. The 1.8% rise is an indication that the momentum experienced over the previous 2 years has slowed, due mainly to the relatively weak economic conditions in key markets. However, while the main source markets are recovering, tourists from South America are flocking to the region in large numbers. The total number of arrivals from that market climbed from an estimated 859,000 in 2009 to nearly 1.5 million last year. That's 13% higher than 2012 and an impressive 70% over 2009. This is due to the strong economies in South America, particularly in Brazil. Our statistics show that arrivals to 18 nation Commonwealth Caribbean countries declined by 0.5 percentage point in 2013, with the countries of the Sub-Region Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, recording marginal growth of 0.1%. Arrivals to other Commonwealth countries fell slightly by 0.6%. On the other hand, the group of Dutch Caribbean countries performed well compared to the wider Caribbean. These territories saw a near 5% rise in their figures, fueled mainly by an 18% upsurge in travel from South America. Arrivals from the more traditional U.S. markets were up just under 3.5%. Other Caribbean islands performed well. Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Suriname upheld their dominance of the overall market share with a 44% of the region's total arrivals in 2013. Cuba was flat, while the Dominican Republic was up 2%. Consequently, this group recorded an increase of around 2.5% in 2013. The French Caribbean countries recorded a slight decrease of 0.6% in arrivals in 2013, while the U.S. territories performed better, recording nearly 4 million arrivals and a 3.7% rise. The signs began emerging in 2012 that Americans were coming back to the Caribbean in their customary numbers. Although the growth slowed last year, we continue to be encouraged by the upward movement. U.S. arrivals increased by nearly 3% in 2013 when compared to 2012, with well over 12 million Americans visiting the region during this period. The U.S. remains the most important supplier to the region, maintaining an average of 50% share of the market over the last 5 years. Canadian stayover visitors to the region increased by a very small 0.7% in 2013 over 2012. This was the lowest year-over-year growth in this market since 1997. This performance reflected the fact that the number of Canadians taking international trips, except to the U.S., was virtually flat in 2013. The numbers from the UK and the rest of Europe suggest that business from this very important market remains sluggish. Under 1 million visitors came to the Caribbean from the UK last year. That's down nearly 1.5%. This fall in demand for the Caribbean holiday can be contributed directly to the air passenger duty and low economic growth under 2% last year. There are positive signs, however. For example, with British Airways announcing increased service to Barbados later this year. Overall, the number of Europeans visiting the region last year fell by 3.75% to 4.75 million people. The ongoing challenges across Europe, though not as severe as in previous years, have affected arrivals. Cruise arrivals saw wild fluctuations in 2013. With Grenada recording a near 22% decrease in passenger visits, while Curacao welcomed more than a 45% increase over 2012. Overall, there was a 2.75% rise with nearly 22 million cruise passengers visiting the region in 2013. Twice as many destinations recorded increased activity when compared to 2012. However, destinations farthest from the U.S. continue to struggle to boost arrivals. Still, our numbers suggest that the summer months of 2013 were the best ever for summer cruising in the Caribbean. The CTO is pleased to report that following a meeting with the cruise executives last month, we agreed to work more closely together to ensure that destinations and the cruise companies gain maximum benefit from our relationship. The cruise industry is an integral part of the region, and we want to ensure we in the Caribbean have the opportunity to access, provide quality products and services for our cruise partners, as well as thousands of visitors that they carry to our shores. It's evident that change is here, and the Caribbean anticipates improved performance in 2014. Clearly, we continue to face challenges. Therefore, we can neither be complacent nor overconfident. We have to fight to boost arrivals, both from traditional markets and new emerging markets. The figures suggest that South America has immense potential. It's generally expected that global economies will perform better in 2014, with the IMF predicting 1% growth across Europe and a 2.8% in the US. The demand for travel, therefore, will continue to be buoyant. As a result, tourist arrivals to the Caribbean are expected to rise between 2 and 3% in 2014. Cruise activity is also expected to pick up, with more ships being delivered. Several of these ships will be deployed in our regional waters. The Caribbean Tourism Organization predicts that cruise passenger arrivals to the Caribbean will increase by about 3% this year. As with other sectors, tourism is dependent on the whims of the global economy. However, it is clear that the resilience of tourism gives it an extra value to its dimension. Smart partnerships with commerce is smart, and we have to work in harmony with the airlines, cruise lines, hotels, and other organizations and enterprises which contribute to tourism development. We must also work with our community-based operators, who we are pleased to see are benefiting more and more from increased tourism. We often talk about tourism being the lifeblood of the industry within our region. Now more than ever, we all must understand and appreciate the true significance of this description. Without a strong tourism product and infrastructure, much of life in the Caribbean as we know it would be dramatically altered. This is true for individuals, households, and communities, as it is for governments and agencies, travel enterprises, hotels, and hospitality partners. We must embrace our responsibility to support the sustainable development and progress of tourism, with a view towards ensuring that all citizens have an opportunity to contribute and benefit from this industry. Local artists, entrepreneurs, restaurants, and small business owners alike all have a stake in tourism. What benefits us benefits them, and we must all work with them as partners to build our path to success, capitalizing on our strengths and envisioning bold new initiatives to address our current challenges. I thank you, and I will now turn it over to Mr. Winfield, who is the gentleman behind all the numbers, and he will be also doing the presentation. Thank you.